श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरत्विषे हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य आनंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। ये कुछ there's some echo coming here. Some echo is coming. So we began there is sound coming from here. Hare Krishna. Second chapter. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Ram Ram. Vadan. Yes. Okay, so how many verses we finished? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Hare. Okay, so we saw in the beginning of the second chapter, Sutta Goswami is offering his respects to Shukdev Goswami in the second and third verses. And in the fourth verse, he offers obeisances to Nana and Rishi, Supreme Lord Narayan, and Saraswati, and Vyasadev. And then fifth verse, is appreciating the questions of the sages. So in other words, he's seeking blessings of the sages also. And then we had a discussion on the sixth verse, which is the answer to first question. Laptop, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. नहीं आएगा? हरे कृष्णा। हाँ ठीक हो गया। थैंक यू। हो गया, ठीक हो गया। So we had a detailed discussion on the sixth verse. Ahetuki apratihata. Okay, let's recite anyways. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshje ahetuki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. Translation? The supreme occupation dharma for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Suprasidati. Yayatma suprasidati. So Srila Prabhupada in his lectures, he says here, Atma refers to body, mind and soul. So at all levels, one can be fully satisfied if one practices this type of devotional service, pure devotional service without any motivations, without any interruption. So that's the quality of devotional service is very important for satisfaction, because when Krishna is pleased with our devotional service, then we as parts and parcels of Krishna also become pleased. So simple science. And for that, what is important is this relation of servant and the served is the most congenial form of intimacy. So that is the key point there. The service attitude. So the mood to serve. So when that mood to serve is there, then there is satisfaction. Because Krishna is satisfied. Okay, fine. So I'll proceed now. So by practicing this type of devotional service, what is the result? वासुदेवे भगवती भक्ति योग प्रयोजितः जन्यत्याशु वैराग्यम ज्ञानम च यद अहैतुकम्. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. So these are the two results of the practice of devotional service, jnana and vairagya. So Srila Prabhupada explains about jnana. Please read the second paragraph of the purport.
The principles of knowledge and detachment are two important factors on the path of transcendental realization. The whole spiritual process leads to perfect knowledge of everything material and spiritual, and the results of such perfect knowledge are that one becomes detached from material affection and becomes attached to spiritual activities. Becoming detached from material things does not mean becoming inert altogether, as men with a poor fund of knowledge think. Naishkarma means not undertaking activities that will produce good or bad effects. Negation does not mean negation of the positive. Negation of the non-essentials do not mean negation of the essential. Similarly, detachment from material forms does not mean nullifying the positive form. The bhakti cult is meant for realization of the positive form. When the positive form is realized, the negative forms are automatically eliminated. Therefore, with the development of the bhakti cult, with the application of positive service to the positive form, one naturally becomes detached from inferior things and he becomes attached to superior things. Similarly, the bhakti cult, being the supermost occupation of the living being, leads him out of material sense enjoyment. That is the sign of a pure devotee. He is not a fool, nor is he engaged in the inferior energies, nor does he have material values. This is not possible by dry reasoning. It actually happens by the grace of the Almighty. In conclusion, one who is a pure devotee has all other good qualities, namely knowledge, detachment, etc. But one who has only knowledge or detachment is not necessarily well acquainted with the principles of the bhakti cult. Bhakti is the supermost occupation of the human being.
Hmm. So somebody explain these statements. Negation does not mean negation of the positive. Negation of the non-essentials does not mean negation of the essential. Similarly, detachment from material forms does not mean nullifying the positive form. Explain. Hmm. Hmm.
Those forms who are destructible with the time, we are not attached with.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Somebody else. Bolo. What is the meaning of this? Amit.
Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha Yukta Vairagyam Jyochyate.
Hmm.
So when we see in connection with Krishna everything, then we don't have to give up in that sense. If we are able to have that relationship with Krishna in that way.
Correct. So negation does not mean negation of the essential. What is the most essential thing? Krishna. The most essential thing is Krishna. So therefore, detachment does not mean detaching oneself from Krishna itself. Negation of the non-essentials does not mean negation of the essential. Detachment from material forms does not mean nullifying the positive form. So that is the difference between Yukta Vairagya and Falgu Vairagya. So in Falgu Vairagya, what is the definition? Falgu Vairagya? प्रापंचिकतया बुद्ध्या हरि संबंधी वस्तुनः मुमुक्षुभि परित्यागो फल्गु वैराग्यम कथ्यते. So prapanchikataya buddhya means what? Yes, considering everything as material intelligence. Prapanchikataya buddhya. So therefore, Hari sambandha vastunaha. So those things which are related to Hari, he renounces them. Mumukshubi, those who are aspiring for moksha, the impersonalists. So they renounce everything, the things of this world, thinking them to be material, not understanding their connection to the Supreme Lord, Hari Sambandha. So this is called as Falgo Vairagya. But Yukta Vairagya is Anasaktasya Vishayan Yataram Upayunjataha Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate. So Yukta Vairagya means one is detached. First word is Anasaktasya. One is detached from those things. So he doesn't want to use them for himself. Yatharam Upayunjataha. But as required, he utilizes them. Why? Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha. He is able to see the Krishna Sambandha. So because he is able to see the Krishna Sambandha, so therefore he can utilize everything in Krishna's service because everything is related to Krishna. So that is called as Yukta Vairagya. So therefore, detachment does not mean simply giving up the things of the world. Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. So that is a wrong philosophy. So therefore, the real detachment means seeing everything in relation to Krishna and using everything in Krishna's service. So that is what is pleasing to the Supreme Lord. As Kunti Maharani says, Krishna becomes the property of those who are akinchana gochar. Akinchana. So those who think that nothing is mine. Nothing is mine, but everything is Krishna's. So the Mayavadis and impersonalists, they simply tend to negate. So Srila Prabhupada gave some analogies to explain this. It does not mean simply to negate, but to engage. Bolo. Correct. Yes, good. So eye has cataract. So one can just remove the cataract. Now that the eye completely has to be removed. So what is the cataract for us? Huh? Yes, the enjoying mentality. So the enjoying mentality has to be removed. Not that the thing itself has to be thrown away. Also, another example Prabhupada gave us. Okay, that's a pastime. Huh? What is that? Ah. Okay. Mm. He has to come out of the disease condition. Correct. Also, Prabhupada gave example of a child. So, small child is causing mischief. If you tell the child, sit down quietly. How long he'll sit? He has to be engaged in some other activity. So, similarly, so if one simply detaches oneself from things of this world, then that won't last. So, therefore, the impersonalists, Mayavadis, their detachment does not last. So therefore, one has to engage. One has to engage one's mind and the senses. Everything needs to be engaged in Krishna service. Okay. So in that same purport of Akinchana Gocharam, this is in the same first canto, 8th chapter, 27th verse, correct? So in that purport, Srila Prabhupada is giving the pastime of. Okay, so it's first canto, but for some time don't open it. So Srila Prabhupada gives the pastime of the poor Brahman who goes to worship Lord Shiva, and then Shiva sends him to Sanatan Goswami. Sabko pata hai na? And Sanatan Goswami has what? Paras money. So then he tells, kahan par hai Paras money? Khachra. And then we know he gave him the holy name. And I think so we did discuss this point in a previous class. So why did Sanatan Goswami keep the Paras money in the Kachra? He could have utilized it, na, in Krishna service. Why he put it in the Kachra? He didn't know Yukta Vairagya. Huh?
वो चीज को वो कृष्ण की सेवा में लगाना वो अपना अधिकार रहना चाहिए वो अधिकार नहीं रहेगा तो हम उसको
Yes, good. So, of course, that principle didn't apply to Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami knew, but Sanatan Goswami wanted to teach us this important lesson. So, anyways, we'll read it as it is because it's a very important statement. So, at the end of the story, Prabhupada writes 1827. Unless one is able to see everything as spiritual in relation with the Supreme Lord, one must always distinguish between spirit and matter. A spiritual master like Srila Sanatan Goswami, although personally able to see everything as spiritual, set this example for us only because we have no such spiritual vision. Unless one is able to see everything as spiritual in relation with the Supreme Lord, one must always distinguish between spirit and matter. Otherwise, from the absolute viewpoint, everything is spirit because everything is coming from Krishna. But what makes the difference? This is spirit, this is matter. Yes, it's based on our consciousness. So therefore, anukulyasa sankalpa pratikulyasa varjanam. So if one is not able to see something as spiritual, but one is seeing it as material, and one is likely to use it for sense gratification, then better to keep it aside. So otherwise, the same principle of yukta vairagya could entrap a sadhaka in material enjoyment. So all these gadgets that we're using, laptop, mobile, so yes, everything can be used in Krishna's service. But then, if one doesn't have that spiritual vision, then they could also become the cause for entanglement. Correct? Because one is not able to see them as spiritual. So, till one achieves the spiritual vision, one must be very careful while applying the principle of Yukta Vairagya. Therefore, the first word Rupa Goswami uses is anasaktasya vishayan. First of all, anasakti must be there. So, if anasakti is there, that means this is not mine. It is not. It's not meant for my enjoyment. That is anasakti. So, when anasakti is there, then one can use it appropriately. Yatharam upayun. Then one can use it appropriately in Krishna's service. Therefore, in the Nectar of Devotion, when Srila Prabhupada explains Yukta Vairagya, what does he say? The principle of Yukta Vairagya must always be practiced under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master. Because there is always a possibility of misusing. So it could be anything. There, Prabhupada explains how even a sannyasi needs to be extremely careful with wealth, followers, all this. Because if one is not able to see them as spiritual, then one could tend to use them for one's own enjoyment and become trapped by the material energy. Okay? So but essentially, Yashul Prabhupada is speaking about Yukta Vairagya. And so by practicing devotional service, then automatically one develops Gyan. How one develops Gyan? By the practice of devotional service, some Shastric reference. Tesham satyuktanam bhajtam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenam. And the next verse. तेषाम एवानुकंपार्थम अहम अज्ञानजम तम नाश्यामि आत्मभावस्तो ज्ञान दीपेन भास्वत. कृष्ण सूर्य सम माया है अंधकार जहाँ कृष्ण तहाँ नहीं मायारा अधिकार. So therefore a devotee cannot be in ignorance. As today's class also we were hearing. Yasmin vigyate sarvam etad vigyatam bhavati. When one knows Krishna, one knows everything. So therefore, a devotee cannot be in ignorance. And so one gets knowledge and one gets vairagya. Srila Prabhupada often quoted the verse, Bhakti Pareshanubhav Virakti. So Virakti, detachment is one of the effects of the practice of devotional service. And so Srila Prabhupada would say that no need to take certificate from anyone. You can know for yourself how much you are progressing in devotional service by understanding how much one is becoming detached from the sense enjoyment spirit. One second. Okay, this is on the 6th verse, but anyways, we can read it. It's good. Read.
uh, sincere devotee of Krishna, and without any expecting ahetuki, any success or failure. You do your duty and you will see, Krishna will see that you are successful. That is Krishna consciousness movement. Ahetuki apratyata. And you will feel satisfied. Yatma suprasidati. As soon as you see, oh, I have done something for Krishna, devotee does not feel it. But when he sees that another man has become devotee, he becomes very satisfied. Yatma suprasidati. So this is the process of Krishna consciousness movement.
Yes, your business is to become sincere devotee of Krishna. Okay, sincere devotee. And not expect anything in return. You do your duty and you will see, Krishna will see that you're successful. So the main thing is to do our duty, not being too much attached to the results. Results for ourselves. Results for Krishna is fine. Okay, fine. This. ठीक है, ठीक. Okay, let's read this.
What form does that satisfaction of the mind take? This satisfaction of the mind is filled with knowledge and experience of the form, qualities, and sweetness of the Lord, which cause complete disgust with all inferior objects. That is explained in this verse. This bhakti is endowed, yojitaha, in an excellent manner, for prakarshena, with dasya, sakhya, and other loving emotions. Another meaning of Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha is Bhakti Yoga has been made the only goal. Prayojan, separate endeavor for attaining knowledge and detachment are not necessary in the practice of Bhakti, for Bhakti itself produces them. Very quickly, Asu, at the time of performing Bhakti, they are attained, for it is said,
Bhakti
भक्ति
parishanubhava
परेशानुभव विरक्ति
virakti
अन्यस्त्रैक कालः प्रपद्यमानस्य यथा स्नेहस्युः तुष्टि पुष्टि शुद्धपायनो अनुघासम.
anubhasam.
Devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things. These three occur simultaneously for one who has taken the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the same way that the pleasure, nourishment, and relief from hunger come simultaneously and increasingly with each bite for a person engaged in
Eating.
eating.
Okay.
There is an objection that if one possesses knowledge, one attains liberation. In answer to this, the verse says that this knowledge is ahetukam, without motivation for liberation. Ahetukam come from hetu, meaning cause or purpose. Just as one can say he lives for eating, this means he lives with the goal of eating. Thus, in this verse, jnanam ahetukam means knowledge without the goal of liberation. Therefore, by practicing bhakti, in which knowledge also manifests without the goal of liberation, the liberation of merging does not take place. Knowledge in this case means knowledge and experience of the Lord's form, qualities, and sweetness.
Okay, so here in this case, knowledge means this is bhakti gyan. This is not the impersonalistic or the monistic philosophy, gyan, but this is bhakti gyan in relationship to the Lord's form, qualities, and sweetness. And as he's saying here, that so the satisfaction which has been described in the previous verse, yayatma suprasidati, is because one develops this knowledge and experience. So gyan and vigyan. So because one develops this gyan and vigyan, realization of the Lord's form, qualities, pastimes, so therefore one develops what? Param drishva nivartate. One develops higher taste. And then when one develops higher taste, then automatically there's detachment from all other inferior things. Okay. Bhakti parishan. All right. Okay. Prabhupada's lecture on the verse, please read.
By, by Bhakti Yoga process, your original knowledge will be revived. What is that original knowledge? Original knowledge is that God is the Supreme Father. I am the eternal Son or eternal servant. As you, Son is always a servant because Son. Real Son is obedient and servant is also obedient. And as we have got distinction here, servant and son, in the absolute world there is no such distinction. A son is as good as the servant, and a servant is as good as the son. That is the absolute world. Don't think, why shall I become a servant? No. Whatever you like, you can become. But in a relationship with God, everything is one. There is no such distinction. That God is great. I am very insignificant, small. My business is to serve. This is Gyan. This is knowledge. This is knowledge. We have got experience here. Just like the government is great and we are small, so whatever the order is government, the government wants somebody come and join this staff department. You have to join. Do it because you are small. So we can see in our practical life, the great puts the little into his service. Naunam Mahatam Tatra. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.7.
Mm.
Renunciation. Try to understand what is renunciation. Just like we, the members of Krishna society, we have renounced all the material activity. That's all. That is renouncement. Our activity are surrounding only about Krishna. We do not do anything except Krishna business. We are publishing magazine, that is Krishna. We are publishing books, that is also Krishna. We are going to press, that is for Krishna. We are going to market, that is for Krishna. We are cooking, that is for Krishna. We are living only for Krishna. We are dancing for Krishna. We are chanting for Krishna. So we have renounced the same thing are there in the material life. Publishing book and going to the press, typing and microphone and dancing, chanting, these are. But they are not for Krishna. That is for sense gratification. Only for working Krishna, for the satisfaction of Krishna, that is called Vairagya. And to attain this Vairagya, renouncement, one requires sufficient knowledge, that is called Jnana. So this knowledge and renouncement, two things require in human life.
So Prabhupada is very beautifully explaining what is real Vairagya. So real Vairagya means everything for Krishna, everything for the satisfaction of Krishna. That is real Vairagya. So one doesn't have to renounce anything. One does not have to renounce the activities, but simply the consciousness has to be changed. And then when everything is engaged in Krishna's service, then that is real renunciation. And so when one has proper knowledge, especially realization, then one can properly renounce. Then one can use everything for Krishna's service instead of for selfish sense satisfaction. Okay, read.
Now, Tesham Evanukampartham. Special favor for these persons who are 24 hours engaged in devotional service under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master. You cannot become a pure, perfect devotee unless you are directed by another pure, unadulterated devotee. Evam param praptam. So, therefore, Rupa Goswami has mentioned in his Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Adav Guru Ashrayam. You have to find out, you have to take shelter, not find out, you have to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. That is the beginning. Adav Guru Ashrayam, Sad Dharma Pracha. Then you will have to inquiry Sadharma about pure devotional service. That is Sadharma. You learn something about devotional service, but the devotional service should be executed by following Mahajan. Mahajano yena gatasa pantha. Therefore, we are Rupanugas. We follow the footsteps of Sri Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. So, Sadhu Vartmanu Vartmanam. Narottam Das Thakur says, Sadhu Shastra Guru Vakya, Tine Te Kariya Aikya. You must learn from Guru, from Shastra, what is actually pure devotional service, just like Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu.
Okay, fine. So that's how we get knowledge. We get knowledge from the Guru and the Shastra. And of course, the Paramatma also gives knowledge from within the heart. That's how one gets knowledge. You have a question?
A part of it answered Puji, but a part of it was like, what was that knowledge exactly? I want to also we want to know also about the name form qualities. But like that, then how it
Yes, so
applies?
therefore, Gyan and Vigyan. So we can read and we can get Gyan, but Vigyan is Krishna's mercy. That is Tesham Evanukampartam. That is Anukampa. That is Krishna's mercy, that he gives us realization. Otherwise, theoretical knowledge, many people have. But the realization comes by the grace of Krishna, Guru and Krishna. Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. Okay, fine. So now we'll go ahead. 8th verse. Dharma smanushtita pumsam vishvaksena kadasuya notpadiyet yadiratim shrama eva hi kevalam. The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead. Okay, please read the third paragraph of the purport. Okay, second also, second and third.
Because foolish people have no information of the soul and how it is beyond the purview of the body and mind, they are not satisfied in the performance of their occupational duties. The question of the satisfaction of the self is raised herein. The self is beyond the gross body and subtle mind. He is the potent active principle of the body and mind. Without knowing the need of the dormant soul, one cannot be happy simply with the involvement of the body and mind. The body and mind are but superfluous outer coverings of the spirit soul. The spirit soul's needs must be fulfilled. Simply by cleansing the cage of the bird, one does not satisfy the bird. One must actually know the needs of the bird himself. The need of the spirit soul is that he wants to get out of the limited sphere of material bondage and fulfill his desire for complete freedom. He wants to get out of the covered walls of the greater universe. He wants to see the free light and spirit. That complete freedom is achieved when he meets the complete spirit, the personality of Godhead. There is a dormant affection for God within everyone. Spiritual existence is manifested through the gross body and mind in the form of perverted affection for gross and subtle matter. Therefore, we have to engage ourselves in occupational engagements that will evoke our divine consciousness. This is possible only by hearing and chanting the divine activities of Supreme Lord. And any occupational activity which does not help one to achieve attachment for hearing and chanting the transcendental message of Godhead is said herein to be simply a waste of time. This is because other occupational duties, whatever ism they may belong to, cannot give liberation to the soul. Even the activities of the salvationists are considered to be useless because of their failure to pick up the fountainhead of all liberties. The gross materialist can practically see that his material gain is limited only to time and space, either in this world the other, or in the other. Even if he goes up to the Swargaloka, he will find no permanent abode for his hankering soul. The hankering soul must be satisfied by the perfect scientific process of perfect devotional service.
So now, Sudha Goswami is explaining what should be the real goal of the practice of dharma. So till now he has established, in the 6th verse he has established what is topmost dharma. In the 7th verse he has established what are the results of practice of dharma. And here he is establishing what should be the ultimate goal of the practice of dharma. So here he is saying that dharma swanushtitaha pumsam, for all human beings, pumsam, for all human beings. These principles are not for a certain sect of people or certain people of a certain country or religion. No. This is pumsam. Pumsam means, proper translate says, humankind. Humankind means all humans, irrespective of which caste, creed, religion, country, irrespective of that, this applies for everyone. So for everyone, the practice of dharma should lead to what? Vishwaksena katasuya, rati. So this should lead to rati, attraction. Attraction for hearing and chanting about the Lord. So it should lead to some attraction, some love towards the Lord. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada in so many lectures, Prabhupada says, it doesn't matter, Hindu, Muslim, Christian. What is the test of bona fide religion? Yes, he must develop love. So that loving attraction towards the Lord must increase by the practice of dharma. If that attraction is not increasing, then what it is? Shrama eva hi kev. If the attraction is not increasing, then it is simply useless waste of time. So here, Srila Prabhupada is very beautifully explaining that what is the spirit soul actually looking for? The spirit soul's needs must be fulfilled. And famous example of the bird and the cage, Prabhupada is giving. So similarly, we are also encaged. We are also in this cage, pinjra. What is the cage? Gross body, subtle body. Two cages. Not only one cage, two cages are there. Double cage. So, but what is the need of the soul? Yes, the need of the spirit soul is that he wants to get out of the limited sphere of material bondage and fulfill his desire for complete freedom. So everyone wants freedom. अरे क्लासरूम में बैठकर ये क्या है? ये कहाँ फ्रीडम है? ये तो बंधन हो गया ना क्लास में बांध कर रखा है 3 घंटे. सही बात है, जबरदस्ती नहीं. हाँ सही बात. हाँ so what is freedom? Yes, that's good. Real independence is to declare one's dependence on God. Krishna is God. Freedom means not to become slave of mind and senses. That's also correct. So, in the material conception, people think freedom means one should be allowed to do whatever one wants. Jo marzi karo. थोड़ा जोर से बोलो, क्या बोलो? हाँ हाँ सही बात. So people think that rules, regulations means bondage. तो कभी भक्ति में आने के बाद भी वैसे लगता है. कुछ रूल्स बनाओ. नो 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 रूल्स, नो पॉलिसीज, छोड़ो हमें. अरे अटेंडेंस क्यों चाहिए? CBA, OBA, कुछ नहीं चाहिए. Freedom, light of freedom. सब चाहते हैं ना? No problem. The soul has independence to desire. Krishna doesn't interfere. But Krishna also explains what is real freedom in the Bhagavad Gita, especially Srila Prabhupada's translation to the verse. Which verse? Second chapter, 64th verse. कौन सा है? राग द्वेष विमुक्तेस्तु विषयान इंद्रियेश्चरन् आत्मवश्येर विधेयात्मा प्रसादम अधिगच्छति. कितने लोगों को प्रसाद चाहिए? प्रसाद किसी को नहीं चाहिए. वाह वाह वाह. अच्छा, प्रसाद खाकर आए ना, पेट भरा हुआ है इसलिए. देने के लिए कुछ होना भी चाहिए. So, how Srila Prabhupada translates that verse? Raga dvesha vimuktestu. So, what is bondage? What is bondage? What is bondage? Raga dvesha. Raga dvesha. Raga dvesha. As somebody said, this entire material world is a prison with bars of raga dvesha. Raga dvesha. Raga dvesha. This is material world. ये चलता है यहाँ पे. ये चाहिए, ये नहीं चाहिए. सुबह से रात तक वही चलता रहता है. ये चाहिए, वो नहीं चाहिए. ये चाहिए, वो नहीं चाहिए. वही चलता है. So I'm sure we have told also before, you must have heard, that Pavlov's experiment of the rat. Everyone knows? How many know? Raise hand. How many know? ये अभिजीत को माइक दो.
In this experiment,
सुनो भाई.
one rat is means he's trapped inside.
He was put inside.
He's put inside, and there was some food material to eat. But what happens ki whenever he tries to eat that food, he gets a current. So he goes there and he tries to eat and he feels a current. So he doesn't go near that. And then this happens many times. So even if the food is kept, then now he now not going towards it. So like that, this is one part of the experiment. And one more part is there. I'm not remembering exactly.
Okay. अभिषेक को पता है? हाँ बताओ. क्या?
सुबह जब केक खा रहा था,
हाँ,
तो उसको करंट लग रहा था. तो एक फिर अगली बार क्या किया साइंटिस्ट ने कि
हाँ, आप सोचते रहो. So basically there are two platforms. Two platforms. A, B. So first he keeps cake on A and electric current on B. So the rat goes to A, eats the cake, very happy. क्या होता है? राग. उस साइड जाता है तो करंट लगता है, द्वेष, नहीं चाहिए. तो फिर every day for few days this was going on. A, rag, B, dvesh. Then he changes. So abhi, for some days he is conditioned to that. So again, when he goes to A, so he thinks he'll get cake, but he gets shocked. तो अरे ये क्या होगी, गड़बड़ हो गया ये. तो फिर बी जाता है, वहां केक मिलता है. वेरी नाइस. अभी ए से क्या हो गया, द्वेष, बी से राग. तभी ये कुछ दिनों के लिए चलता है. अभी फिर से चेंज करते हैं. सो द रैट गॉट टोटली कंफ्यूज्ड. फिर क्या चल रहा है ये, कहां क्या मिलेगा पता ही नहीं. प्रैक्टिकल रियलाइजेशन. अभी अभी पता ही नहीं ना कहा. तो पहले डिवोटिस का भी चल रहा था ना, तो इसलिए वो फिर मैनेजर ने वो भेजा ना, वो शीट भेजा ना. एक्चुअली प्रैक्टिकली हमने देखा, वो लीड्स प्रोग्राम के लिए आए थे ना, तो वो वैसे ही कर रहे थे कुछ कुछ दिनों के लिए, कभी यहाँ कभी वहां. तो फिर हमने कुछ फिक्स करो. एनीवे, सो सो द रैट गॉट टोटली कंफ्यूज्ड. तो फिर कभी यहाँ कभी वहां, कभी यहाँ कभी वहां. सो देन फाइनली व्हाट ही डिड, he opened the door of the cage and kept cake outside the cage. But the rat was so busy between the two platforms, yahan wahan, that he did not see that the cage door is open. So this exactly the same thing happens in the material world also. So everyone is running around. सुख कहाँ मिलेगा, कभी यहाँ कभी वहां, कभी यहाँ कभी वहां, कभी. तो सब भाग रहे इधर उधर, वो चूहे किधर. रैट रेस कहते हैं ना, रैट रेस, रैट रेस. सो लाइक रैट्स दे आर रनिंग. वेयर इज हैप्पीनेस, वेयर इज हैप्पीनेस. यहाँ मिलेगा, फॉर सम टाइम यू गेट इट देयर, नो, छोड़ो कहीं हो. एंड गेटिंग आउट, forgotten. So this is what happens. So this raga and dvesha is bondage for the spirit soul. So therefore Krishna is saying, raga dvesha vimuktestu vishayan indriyes charan. So what is the raga and dvesh? Vishayan indriya charan. Charati. You know charati? Vicharan. So the senses, indriya charati on what? Vishayan. And because of that there is raga and dvesha. But Krishna is saying vimukta, छोड़ दो ये राग द्वेष को छोड़ दो. राग द्वेष विमुक्तेस्तु विषयान इंद्रियस चरण आत्मवश्ये विधेयात्मा. Atmavashyer, self-control, be controlled. Vidheyatma, proper translates Vidheyatma is what? Regulative principles of freedom. So how to get freedom? By following rules and regulations, one gets real freedom. Because by following rules and regulations, one becomes free from what? Raga and dvesha. By following rules and regulations, one becomes free from raga and dvesha. So, Raga and dvesha means what? I like this, I don't like this. I like this, I don't like this. तो जब तक ये चलता रहेगा हम यहीं पर रहना पड़ेगा. So therefore, on the path of devotional service, it is not about what I like and what I don't like. It is about what Krishna likes. So therefore, all rules and regulations are meant for what? Smartavya satam Vishnu vismartavya na jatuchit sarve vidhi nishedasyor etayor eva kinkara. All rules and regulations are meant for increasing our remembrance of Krishna. So the rules and regulations help us come closer to Krishna. And by coming closer to Krishna, one gets what? One gets what? Prasadam. Then one gets prasadam. Then one gets mercy of Krishna, and then Krishna will release the soul from the bondage of material existence. So, very important point. So, if we think I will do what I like, I will do what I like. So, this is called so-called freedom. This is so-called freedom. But the so-called freedom will lead to bondage. So if you want real freedom, then one has to go through the so-called bondage of following rules and regulations in devotional service. So therefore, one has to know what is real freedom and what is bondage. So this is what the soul is hankering for. Since when? Yes, since time immemorial, the soul has been hankering. Chhod do. I want to get out. आत्मा रो रही है, आप हंस रहे हो, आत्मा रो रही है. So, this is what the soul is hankering for. लेकिन हम सोचते हैं नहीं, rules and regulations नहीं. फिर ठीक है, पढ़े रहो. फिर bondage. So therefore, one who understands this, then he understands how to actually get real freedom. That complete freedom is achieved when he meets the complete spirit, the person. Hey, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Hey, uthao hai. अरे कैसा कुर्सी है वो? Too much freedom. हाँ वही, ये चेयर में थोड़ा बॉन्डेज है लेकिन थोड़ा फ्री, असली फ्रीडम है. हाँ वो सबसे बेस्ट है, सबसे बेस्ट. गिरने का चांस ही नहीं है नीचे. रुकिए. So therefore, see, Prabhupada's every sentence so beautiful. That complete freedom is achieved when he meets the complete spirit, the personality of Godhead. So one has to meet the Supreme Lord by the performance of devotional service. And therefore, we have to engage ourselves in occupational engagements that will evoke our divine consciousness. Evoke. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabunoi Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Koroi Udoi. Evoke, evoke. It is already there. It has to be evoked. So the dharma is meant to evoke that dormant love, that dormant consciousness. And so the practices in order to evoke that dormant love is called devotional service, basically. That is what is devotional service. And of course, ninefold devotional service, beginning with hearing and chanting. We were hearing in the class also today. And so all our practices of devotional service are meant for evoking that divine consciousness. And so if that does not take place, then all forms of dharma, which could be sense gratification or so many isms, Prabhupada is saying, so many isms, nationalism, philanthropism, humanitarianism, so many isms, even the activities of the salvationists. Salvationists means, Kaun? Gyanis, the Gyanis. Prabhupada specifically uses these type of words for common people to understand. So even the activities of the salvationists are considered to be useless because of their failure to pick up the fountainhead of all liberties. Such a beautiful language. Fountainhead of all liberties. Therefore, the Supreme Lord is called what? Mukunda. Mukunda, one who gives liberation. So he is the fountainhead of all liberties. And so therefore the Gyanis, Anadrita Yushmadangraya, because they do not find shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, therefore they fail to achieve the ultimate liberation. And so therefore, if one wants real freedom, which the soul is looking for, one has to connect oneself to that fountainhead of all liberties, that is the Supreme Lord. Mukti pradata sarvesham Vishnur eva na samshayah. Save and accept Vishnu, no one else can give liberation, not even Lord Brahma and Shiva. So, therefore, all types of dharma should lead to this divine consciousness, should lead to an increased attraction towards the Supreme Lord. If that is not happening, then it is Shrama Evahi Kevalam. So therefore, the important point is for us also that we are not simply engaged in some activities without understanding the goal. So the prayojan must be clear. So as one progresses in devotional service, so therefore, as Srila Prabhupada says in many lectures, so the test is how much one is developing more and more attraction for Krishna consciousness, and how much one's attachment to material activities and material things is reducing. That is the test. And therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter, 7th verse, what does Krishna say? 8th chapter, 7th verse. Yeah. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha. So Krishna doesn't tell Arjuna only to fight. He tells him, remembering me, fight. So therefore, this is International Society for Krishna consciousness, not work consciousness. So it is not only just about the activity, it is not only just about the work, but the work should result in Krishna consciousness. The work should result, the activity should result in remembrance of Krishna, attraction to Krishna. That should be the result. Boli.
Some service and we are doing it grudgingly. So that when we are doing it grudgingly, that doesn't lead our mind to be, Krishna conscious. Rather, it leads to some other way.
Correct.
So what should we do at that time? Because that's the need of the hour, but that our mind is not becoming Krishna conscious. Can we count it in devotional service?
What do you think? What do you think?
Not be counted. Let's see. Maybe it will be counted because we are doing under some superior order.
Ah.
But as per what we are discussing here, it's not generating rati or that kind of attraction we are talking about. So kind of contradictory.
So therefore, yes, if we are performing the activity under instruction, it is definitely pure devotional service because it is being done under superior instruction in parampara. Therefore, it is definitely pure devotional service. But then the next question arises, why am I performing it grudgingly? Why am I performing it grudgingly? That means I have some other agenda, right?
It does. Maybe due to lack of skill.
Lack of
Skill.
lack of skill. That could
But
be
that's
one.
the need of R. That's why we are doing it.
ठीक है ना? So okay, if it is due to lack of skill and one is not able to do it properly, okay, fine. But still one tries one's best. And of course, if one is finding it too difficult, one should definitely report to the concerned authorities so that there could be some change or some help. But in any case, if we are doing it with the right motive, then I want to please Guru and Krishna according to one's ability. If one is doing with the right motive, then definitely it will lead to purification and progress. But if the grudging is due to laziness or some other agendas, like, अरे ये सेवा में कुछ नाम प्रतिष्ठा नहीं है. So therefore there is no taste. So if there are ill motives, material motives, then that's contaminated devotional service, mixed devotional service. Then progress will not be much. But if it is basically because of a lack of skill and one is feeling a little incompetent, but the intention is pure, the main thing is what's the intention? If the intention is pure to please Guru and Krishna, then if one is trying one's best, one will make good progress. But if there are ulterior motives, hidden agendas, laziness, so basically the influence of Rajogun and Tamogun. So if devotional service is influenced by Rajogun and Tamogun, then progress will not be much. Okay? Okay. So this should be the result of the practice of dharma. So now, in the next verse, he's explaining what should dharma be practiced for and what should it not be practiced for. Text 9. Dharmasya hi apavargasya nartho arthayupakalpate narthasya dharmikantasya kamo labhaya hi smritaha. All occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, according to sages, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. So here he is saying, dharmasya hi apavargasya. Dharma should be meant for apavarga. So everyone knows pavarga, apavarga, right? So what is apavarga? Yes, getting out of material existence. Material existence is pavarga. So dharma should be meant for apavarga. Na artha arthayupakalpate, not for getting artha, not for getting wealth, or not for material gain. So dharma should not be used for material gain. Narthasya dharmaikantasya. But if one gets artha, what should one do? For dharma. If one gets artha, one should engage it in dharma and not for kama. So if one gets artha, one should use it for dharma and not for kama. But dharma should not essentially be meant for, yes, for getting artha. So here again, he's stating what should be the purpose of the practice of dharma and what should not be the purpose. Okay, Prabhupada's lecture, please read. Okay, I think so. We will read the next verse and then read this. Okay. 10. कामस्य नेन्द्रिय प्रीति लाभो जीवेत यावता जीवस्य तत्व जिज्ञासा नार्थो यस्येह कर्मभिः. Life's desire should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation. Since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth, nothing else should be the goal of one's work. So here, Sutta Goswami is saying that desires, kamasya, desires should not be for indriya priti, but the desire should be only meant for labo jiveta yavata. So only as much as is required to keep body and soul together, that much one can acquire. Not prayas, atyahara prayas, not for that. So yes, for self-preservation, labo jiveta, for keeping body and soul together, whatever is required, one can do that much. But what is the real purpose of the practice of dharma? Jivasya tattva jignasa, to inquire about the absolute truth. So that should be the real purpose of the practice of dharma. So Prabhupada writes in the middle of this purport that one should satisfy the senses in only so much as required for self-preservation and not for sense gratification. Because the body is made of senses which also require a certain amount of satisfaction, there are regulative directions for satisfaction of such senses. For example, he's going of marriage. And then, so here he said, life should be meant for tattva jignasa. So the next question arises, what is tattva? So then in the next verse, he describes what is that tattva. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan niti shabdyate. Learned translators who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. This is advayam. Advayam means non-dual. It is the same substance, same one thing, the absolute truth. The absolute truth is perceived from different angles, from different perceptions as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So therefore, Prabhupada gives the examples of, yes, sun or mountain. So it is one object only, one object sun, one object mountain. But based upon the person who is viewing it, then there could be different perceptions. So similarly, it is one object, the absolute truth, but based upon one's realization, one has different perceptions of impersonal Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Okay, so let's see some Prabhupada's lectures. Okay, please read.
You are working so hard simply for maintaining your body. No.
वो ऑन नहीं लग रहा है.
No, you work hard, keep yourself fit, but live for Tattva Jignasa. That is life, Tattva Jignasa. What I am, what is God, what is this material world, why I have come here, why I am put into so much trouble. These are the inquiries. Not that every day go to the market. This is not Tattva Jignasa. That is Indriya Piriti, howling in the market.
Howling in the markets.
You can discharge your duty very nicely, but you have to see whether you are developing attachment for Krishna. Attachment means love, whether you are trying to satisfy Krishna. That is the test. If that is not done, simply formulas, if you execute the formula without any satisfaction of Krishna, then Sutta Goswami says it is simply laboring and waste of time. Vishwaksena katasuyaha notpadet ratim yadi shamayevahi kevalam.
So here important point, attachment means love. Whether you are trying to satisfy Krishna, that is the test. If that is not done, simply formulas, if you execute the formula without any satisfaction of Krishna, then it is waste of time. So the important thing is how much one is trying to satisfy Krishna. So just like we were hearing from Mahatma Prabhu about the chanting of the holy names. So as Srila Prabhupada is saying, if it is simply formula, formula means 16 katham karo. That is formula. 16 येन केन प्रकारेण 16 खत्म करो. So if one is simply following that formula, but one is not trying to satisfy Krishna with quality chanting, then it will only be what? Shrama eva hi kev. Kuch to labh milega, zyada nahi. So that same principle applies for all services, whatever we are doing. So one could be standing in Mangalarti. कुछ लोग पीछे खड़े रहते हैं मोबाइल लेकर और कुछ और चल रहा है. हाँ वही तो, वो मंगलारती में हो सकता है, क्लास में हो सकता है. हाँ तो वो नाम के वास्ते लोग बैठते हैं वहां पे, लेकिन मोबाइल में कुछ और चल रहा है. सो दिस इज व्हाट सिंपली फॉर्मूलास. अटेंड किया, बस अटेंड किया, simply formula. But the goal to satisfy Krishna is not there. So if the goal to satisfy Krishna is not there, then it will simply be Shrama eva hi kevalam. तो फिर बहुत साल बीत सकते हैं. Many years may pass in a practice of devotional service, but we will not make much progress because we have not tried to satisfy Krishna. This is the most essential point. If we want to make progress, then we have to take that tapasya of trying to satisfy Krishna. That is the meaning of rati. If you love a person, then what will you do? Try to satisfy. Simple. So, okay, I don't have love now, but at least I want to develop it. So let me try to do the activity in such a way that Krishna is satisfied. So it applies to attending Mangalarti, attending class. Or some people during class, they chant during class. Chanting. You will see that. 2-3 times I've heard His Grace Devakinandan prove, if we see someone in the class, any class or anything, chanting, he to openly he says, in the mic only he says, do one thing at a time. Either you chant or you hear the class. You can't do two things because both involve hearing. Both involve hearing, correct? While chanting also one is supposed to hear, class also one is supposed to hear. How can one hear both things at the same time? So therefore, so people try to find all these shortcuts. It doesn't work that way. So this is the meaning of being serious and sincere. Serious and sincere means one's goal must be clear. One must be serious. What am I doing here? What am I doing? Am I making a show, or do I really want to achieve the goal? So therefore, in any activity it applies. Any activity one could just do it superficially for just finishing it off. Khatam karo, khatam karo. It could be cooking, it could be preaching, it could be management, it could be anything, any activity. So either one could just do it superficially as Prabhupada says, formulas, simply formula, ritual. Or one could put one's heart and soul in the activity and try to satisfy the Vaishnavas, satisfy Guru, satisfy Krishna. So when one does that, then oneself will become satisfied because Krishna is satisfied, and that's how one will make progress. So this is a very key point, as Prabhupada is saying, that is the test. That is the test. How much am I trying to satisfy Krishna? That is the test. So this is very important. Otherwise, years may go by, but we won't make much progress. And then one could easily become victims of the material energy. Just one second. Okay, ठीक है, बोलो. Sorry, I will just come back. Okay. That's different. That's different. Ganga Mata Goswami. So those are exceptions. Those are exceptions. Those we cannot imitate. We cannot imitate. Hmm. Hmm. Yes, so if clarification is asked for, there's no harm in clarifying. No, so in the case of Bharat Maharaj also, he also tried to clarify. That was his guru. He was dealing directly with Guru. So there, Guru directly is saying, no, you're too proud. Of course, he knew, Rupa Goswami knew. But still, Rupa Goswami wanted to teach that important lesson, especially for all of us, that how one must not be proud. So that's a different case. That's a different case. But in normal cases, we can definitely try to clarify our position. But the important point to learn there is that how this is the nature of the material world. The nature of the material world is such that even if one is trying to do something good, still one could be misunderstood. This is the nature of the material world. Padam padam yad vipadam. This is the nature of the material. So, but then, as Sudha Goswami is saying here, but the nature of devotional service is what? Apratihata. Devotional service does not stop. So there could be so many impediments. One could be misunderstood, one could be cursed, one could be tortured. In the lives of Vaishnavas, we see so many things happening. But pure devotee and pure devotional service means the service does not stop. Bolo.
कोशिश करेंगे रति डेवलप करके करने का लेकिन वो रति डेवलप के बीच में तो एंजॉयिंग मेंटेलिटी आता है ना तो उसको कैसे ये करना
तो इसलिए वो एंजॉयिंग मेंटेलिटी को थोड़ा बाजू में रख के
वो बाजू में कैसे रखना
बाजू में रखना कैसे उसके लिए हम ये सब श्रवणम कीर्तनम चल रहा है
जैसे ब्रो जी मॉर्निंग प्रोग्राम है उसमें तो चलो कॉन्शियस हो जाते हैं सब लोग साथ में ये जैसे
अरे लेकिन कितने सारे लोग कॉन्शियस नहीं भी होते हैं
कुछ आइटम आता है जैसे अगर 25 चीजें ग्रुप में बांटना है तो पहले हम लोग सब चेक कर लेते कि अपना बेस्ट होना चाहिए फिर वो बांटने का और बहुत मतलब ऐसे ऐसे वाली चीजों में बहुत ये हो जाता है
नहीं देखिए ये सब क्या है ये अभी साधना भक्ति है
जैसे कुछ भक्त लोग जैसे ये सनातन प्रभु वगैरह और जो कुछ लोग हैं कि वो अपनी चीज दूसरे को दे देते रेवतीपति प्रभु वगैरह तो वो सब कैसे सेल्फलेसनेस कैसे आने का
तो वो सब धीरे धीरे आ जाएगा लेकिन एटलीस्ट हमारा गोल जो है थियोरेटिकली गोल क्लियर होना चाहिए तो सब अचानक एक दिन में नहीं होगा टाइम लगेगा ना so because we have spent lifetimes in this material world so therefore it will take time लेकिन एटलीस्ट हमारा मोटिव क्लियर होना चाहिए what is my goal what do I want to achieve अगर हम सोचेंगे जो गड़बड़ चल रहा है वही सही है फिर क्या होगा so at least we must know that ठीक है अभी कुछ गड़बड़ चल रहा है ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए at least that much one must understand that I'm not on the right track I should at least come on the right track at least if we know that much then we'll make an endeavor to come on the right track and then sadhana bhakti means just like small child learning to walk so sometimes he falls sometimes he gets वो सब होते रहेगा but at least goal clear होना चाहिए ठीक है so for understanding that goal we are studying all this shastra so at least theoretically we understand this is the goal and then we try to come towards that goal ठीक है Hare Krishna so we'll take a break now and we'll continue. So, so today actually 1 o'clock I'm supposed to go with Bhakti Bhakti Maharaj for an invitation. So therefore I have to leave at 1 o'clock today. Good news, right? Okay, fine. So we will see how much we can complete till 1 o'clock. And then whatever remains, then we'll cover on Monday. ठीक है ना? So Monday we may have to extend the class to compensate for today's loss. नहीं 10:30 ठीक है, वो 9:30 तक क्लास ही चल। ठीक है, ज्यादा लेट नहीं करेंगे, थोड़ा आधा घंटा हो सकता है। हरे कृष्ण। Personal Godhead. And further down, Prabhupada writes, is the Varnashram institution is constructed to enable one to realize the absolute truth. It's not for artificial domination of one division over another. When the aim of life, that is realization of the absolute truth, is missed by too much attachment for indriya priti or sense gratification, as already discussed here before, the institution of Varnashram is utilized by selfish men to pose an artificial predominance over the weaker section. Okay, so that's what has been happening and is happening also. And so that is not the purpose of Varnashram, to prove one's dominance. We are superior to you and things like that. But the main purpose of the Varnashram is so that ultimately one pleases the Supreme Lord. So the Bhagavatam also explains that if people don't perform Varnashram duties for pleasing the Supreme Lord, that is called as Asuri Varnashram. Asuri Varnashram, followers of such Varnashram only go to hell. So therefore, the purpose of Varnashram is ultimately to please the Supreme Lord. Okay, this is Srila Prabhupada's lecture on the previous verse, the 12th verse. Please read.
Bhaktya means you have to execute the devotional service under the direction of a proper spiritual master. Bhaktya, Shruta, Grihitya, and you have to hear about Krishna. Two things must go on. If just like here, you'll find the Arch Vigraha worshipping the deity is going on. But if simply this thing go on, because none of us are expert, there must be Shruta Grihitya. We must hear about Krishna also. Two things must go on parallel lines.
Yes. So here, Srila Prabhupada is talking about Archa Vigraha, worshipping the deity. So along with worshipping the deity, hearing about Krishna must go on. Very important. We, of course, unfortunately, we find this very common in almost all ISKCON temples. Pujaris tend to neglect hearing. And so then there could be many problems because of this. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada very much emphasized, as here is very clearly mentioning, the two things must go on parallelly. Otherwise, if one does not hear, and we discussed this also before, Srila Prabhupada tells in that lecture, 1974, Mayapur, if one does not hear, what will happen? Yes, Archa Vigraha will become Galagraha, a huge burden. And then the deity worship will simply become mechanical. Ghumao, khatam karo. So then it will become a burden, a ritual. Then there is no attention. Then one does not have realization that this is Krishna. One won't be in that consciousness. This is Krishna. Then it will simply become just another ritual, just like we find in so many temples, right? Not ISKCON temples, outside temples. They don't take care of the deity. So just like in one temple, one devotee was telling they went to it was Krishna deity, and so and nobody was there. So our devotee, he went and removed the flute, and he saw that the flute had become a nice home for many cockroaches. So that is what happens. Why? Because there's no hearing. Then when one does not understand the philosophy, then it is just another business. Just another business to get some money or to earn a living. And so then, as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told the story of the pujari who used the Shaligram Shila to break the badam. Show darshan of Shaligram Shila, get badam, close the curtain, and use the same Shaligram Shila to break the badam. So that is what will happen. That is why the acharyas are telling these things. It is not something fancy, but these things do happen when the regular hearing does not take place. Then it's just become a ritual, mechanical thing, ultimately a burden, and deities are not taken care of. And when deities are not taken care of properly, then everyone suffers. The entire community of devotees who are connected to those deities will have to face the reactions. So therefore, this is not a problem of only the pujaris. So if pujaris are not hearing properly and they are not maintaining the deity worship in proper consciousness, the entire community may have to suffer. So it should not be taken as only the problem of the pujaris. No, it is the problem of the entire community of devotees surrounding those deities. So we should keep this in mind. And so therefore, Bhaktya Shruta Grihitaya. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada very much emphasized everyone needs to hear. Everyone needs to hear. And so, um, so chanting the holy names in the association of devotees, hearing Bhagavatam class, everyone should do. Here also, unfortunately, we see that sometimes some of the pujaris, we never see them. We never see them in the morning program. We never see them in the Bhagavatam class. We never see them during chanting. It's not a very good sign. So, anyway, whoever is responsible can do the needful. Okay. From a philosophical viewpoint, there's no difference. There's no difference. But then, of course, then you could consult the DT department or DT department as to what should be the standards for such worship. Because definitely standards do vary between established deities in the temples, deities at home, homes of grihasthas, and photos. So there could be some difference in the standards. But whatever it is, whatever be the standard, what is important is what's the consciousness while performing the service. That's important. So somewhere there could be 6 offerings, somewhere there could be 4 offerings. Correct. That difference could be there in the standard. But whatever it is, whether it is 6 offerings or 4 offerings, what is the consciousness in which that service is being done? That's what is important. And maintaining that right consciousness comes from the purification of the heart. Okay, let's read this commentary on the 12th verse.
This verse describes the practice to realize that tattva. The sages, Munaya, the jnanis cultivating contemplation, the yogis and the devotees see that jnana of 3 forms by bhakti. Those who conceive of jnana as Brahman realize Pashyanti, the Jiva, Atmanam as the Lord, Atmani, Tattvam Asi.
Okay, so that's referring to the jnanis who may think that the Jiva is the Lord. Okay.
Those who conceive of the Lord as Paramatma see through meditation the Lord in the heart. Atmanam in their heart, Atmani.
Okay, so those 2 words there, Atmanam, Atmani, they have different meanings according to the transcendentalists.
Those who conceive of Bhagavan see Bhagavan, Atmanam in the mind, Atmani, and also directly in front of them, Cha, and taste the sweetness of the Lord with their very eyes. The sages realize their form of the Lord by bhakti, which is heard from the Guru, Shruta, and then practiced Grihitaya. The word bhaktya is used with its conventional meaning, indicating hearing and chanting about the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan. The worshippers of Brahman and Paramatma must also perform bhakti directed to Bhagavan in order to perfect their own sadhanas. Jnana and Vairagya mentioned in this verse are the 2 sadhanas for the jnanis and yogis only.
Okay, so here the worshippers of Brahman and Paramatma also require some bhakti. Without bhakti, no one can achieve perfection.
For the devotees, these 2 arise only from bhakti and indicate the loving nature of bhakti because he loves the Lord, he strives to know the Lord and shows distaste for everything else. Since separate cultivation of jnana and vairagya are forbidden in pure bhakti.
Okay, so separate cultivation of jnana and vairagya are for the jnanis and the yogis. As far as devotees are concerned, devotees focus on bhakti and jnana and vairagya come as a byproduct. Continue.
Therefore, for a devotee engaged in my loving service with mind fixed on me, the cultivation of knowledge and renunciation is generally not the means of
achieving the highest perfection within this world. So, jnana and vairagya are not the means on the path of bhakti. Jnana and vairagya are like byproducts. This is the 13th verse. Okay, let's quickly read.
A doubt arises. Is there not some worry in giving up jnana and yoga? And in not doing nitya karmas, is there not the calamity of great sin and omission of action and ending up in hell? This verse answers. Though jnana and yoga have some attraction, they depend on getting their results by performance of bhakti. But bhakti gives its results without the assistance of jnana or yoga at all. Therefore, if one pleases the Lord with bhakti only, this is the perfection of dharma. The person who does not get for the most part perfection, even though performing all the rules and regulations of karma, attains perfection directly through bhakti, even though he does not perform the karmas. This is understood from the Lord's own words.
Okay, so he's raising the question. Okay, if somebody gives up jnana and yoga, jnana, vairagya, if one gives up all these things, so is there some worry? Will it be that one will not achieve perfection? So no. So as long as one is pleasing the Lord, then one will get the benefits of all these other processes. Okay.
Everything that can be achieved by fruitive activities, penance, knowledge, detachment, mystic yoga, charity, religious duties, and all other means of perfecting life is easily achieved by my devotee through loving service unto me. If somehow or the other my devotee desires promotion to heaven, liberation, or residence in my abode, he easily achieves such benefits.
Right. So one gets the benefits of all these different processes simply by pleasing the Supreme Lord. Okay, so now the next question arises. So how to please the Supreme Lord? So here he said Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. So next, how to please the Supreme Lord? Tasmadekena manasa bhagavan satvatam pati shrotavya kirtavyascha dhyeya pujascha nityada. Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees. Bhagavan satvatam patihi. So, so Prabhupada begins this purport by saying, if realization of the absolute truth is the ultimate aim of life, it must be carried out by all means. Okay, so whatever is required in order to please the Supreme Lord, that must be done. And essentially that is done through these four processes of Shrotavya, Gita, Dhyeya, Puja. How long? Nityada, Nityada. And then Prabhupada is describing how even in material life, these processes are used by people. And but then that's a waste of time. The actual object of glorification is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who's created everything manifest for us. Okay, Prabhupada's lecture on this verse. Please read.
You are hearing about God. Now you have to spread it. Kirtitavyascha. Not that, oh, I have known God. That's all right. Let me be satisfied. No, you must preach. That is another business. Because people are ignorant. They do not know what is God. They are manufacturing God. They are accepting some rascal as God. So what is real God? You must preach.
Okay, so Prabhupada is encouraging everyone to preach, kirtan. And then by such practice of devotional service, what will be the result? Yad anudhyasina yukta karma granti nibandhanam chindanti ko vidastasya ko na kuryat kadaratim. With sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work karma by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message? So here, so in the previous verse, he spoke about Shrotavya, Kirtavya, Dhyeya. Dhyeya is remembrance. So the same thing is said over here. Anudhya, Anudhya. Anudhya means remembrance. So that remembrance of the Lord acts like asina. It acts like sword. So that remembrance of the Lord is very powerful. That remembrance acts like a sword. And what will the sword do? Karma granti nibandhanam chindanti. So then the sword will cut the karma granti, the knots of karma, which are very tight. So the sword will cut them. So that is, so when will one remember? How will one get remembrance of the Lord? Yes, by hearing. So first of all, hearing. Shravanam, Kirtanam, then Smaranam. So if one does not hear only, what will one remember? So first of all, one needs to hear. So when one hears, then one will remember. And then when one remembers, that remembrance will act like swords to cut the karma granthi. So therefore, he's asking a rhetoric question. Kona kuryat kadaritim, who will not take interest? Only a fool will not take interest in hearing about the katha of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, Prabhupada, in the last paragraph, he says, therefore, any sensible man who is above the average man with a poor fund of knowledge must constantly remember the personality of Godhead by hearing about him, by glorifying him, by remembering him, and by worshipping him always without cessation. That is the perfect way of devotional service. The Goswamis of Vrindavan, who authorized by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to preach the Bhakti cult, rigidly followed this rule and made immense literature of transcendental science for our benefit. They have chalked out ways for all class of men in terms of the different castes and orders of life in pursuance of the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam and similar other authoritative scriptures. Okay. So therefore, all these scriptures are meant for that purpose. So that we have something to hear about and talk about and remember. And that's how we can remember the Lord. And that remembrance is something which is very powerful. And that is why Krishna is also telling, Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha. And all those verses are talking about Smaran, correct? 8.5? 8.5? Antakale Chamameva Smaran Muktva Kalebram. 8.6? Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam. Okay, so everywhere what is coming? Smaran, Smaran, Smaran. Because at the end of life, what one must do? Smaran. Ante Narayana Smriti. So therefore, as Prabhupada explains in those purpose, if one has to remember the Supreme Lord at the time of death, it is not going to happen automatically. One has to practice. One has to practice that throughout one's life. So all our activities are meant for that practice. As we were hearing today morning's class also, Srila Prabhupada is saying, so when one is honoring prasadam, what one should think? Yes, this has been tasted by Krishna. So there must be remembrance of Krishna. So similarly, is giving example of gardening. So somebody is planting some rose plants. What he must think? Flower. Yes, this flower will be offered to Krishna. So that is how Srila Prabhupada is very practically showing. Then it becomes what? Yoga. Then he becomes yogi. Only activity does not make him yogi. Yog means joining. Connection. The connection must be there. Otherwise, any ordinary gardener, no difference. No difference. Then he'll be ordinary gardener. But when that consciousness is there, I'm doing this for Krishna. I'm cooking for Krishna. I'm gardening for Krishna. I'm distributing books for Krishna. So that Krishna consciousness should be cultivated. It's a cultivation. Anushilanam. It's a cultivation. It's not automatic. So we have to cultivate that. Oh, I'm doing this for Krishna. So that is how the remembrance of Krishna needs to be increased. And so if we are simply mechanically doing things without much remembrance, then we won't get the actual benefit. Some benefit definitely is there, but then definitely we must try to increase that remembrance of Krishna. Okay, let's read this. Sorry.
How does that faith arise? This verse answers, remembrance of the Lord is a sword. Equipped with the sword, Asina, person cuts the bondage caused by the knot of false ego, which ties one up with karma. Or another meaning is as follows. People tie up small amount of money in knots of their clothing for the purpose of daily eating by dividing up their savings and spending a little each day. This knot of money for enjoyment is compared to the karmas allotted in this life for enjoyment. Thus, the sword of remembering the Lord cuts this knot of prarabdha karma. Who will not have attraction for topics concerning the Lord, whose remembrance cuts the knots of karma? Chandan Prabhu. Attraction for those topics arises suddenly in all people before having faith. The verse indicates that a person who is more qualified, who has faith, will be even more attracted.
Okay, so basically he's giving that example to explain that how all the prarabdha karmas which have accumulated over the lifetimes, so all that will be cut by the sword of remembrance of the Lord. And ultimately, of course, the karma granthis, the false ego, ahankar, which is actually cut. And that is the ultimate bondage to the material world is ahankar. That is what binds one to the material world. That needs to be cut. And as the remembrance increases more and more, then that ahankar will reduce. Okay, so that's the end of this section. And then from the next verse begins the next section. Here, series of verses, especially talking about the effects and the glories of Shravanam. Mm. So that's a very important section. And then the last section is a simple one, talking about how Vasudeva is supreme. So we can finish the remaining parts on Monday. And I'm sure many of you may have heard many lectures on these important verses, 17th verse, 18th verse. And of course, as already said, Srila Prabhupada has given lectures, many lectures on all these verses. So please do find time to hear them, read them. Very nice lectures. All right? Yes. At the end, on Monday or Tuesday, so somebody can send me a mail, I'll send you a PDF. Attraction for those topics arises suddenly in all people before having faith. The verse indicates that a person who is more qualified to has faith will be even more attractive. So before that, he says, who will not have attraction for topics concerning the Lord, whose remembrance is concerned? So that means what he means to say is that understanding the glories of these topics, one may not have a natural attraction, but just understanding the glories of these topics, then attraction can develop. That how attraction to these topics will cut all the karmas. Everyone wants to be free from karma. Everyone knows karma results in suffering. So even somebody who does not have that faith, even he may want to hear because he wants to get free from karma. That's what I think is the meaning over there. And then as faith actually develops, then he develops more interest. He'll be even more attractive when the faith increases. But even without that faith, one may develop an attraction, understanding the great effects of hearing these talks. Correct. Nivritta Darshya. All right. Say that. Correct. So now who's speaking this? Sutta Goswami. Yeah, so Vyasdev is writing the whole thing, but Vyasdev is he's Trikalagya. He knows what will happen in future also, and he's writing this conversation between Sutta Goswami and the sages at Naimisharanya. Yes, it's before it is spoken. Vyasdev is writing it at the beginning of Dwapar Yuga. I mean, at the end of Dwapar Yuga. But then this conversation takes place at the beginning of Kali Yuga. But then Vyasdev he's writing before that. Yes. So Vyasdev is writing the whole thing. And of course, within that, there is one conversation within another conversation. So Sutta Goswami is talking about the conversation which he heard between Shukdeva and Parikshit. And then as he is reporting the conversation between Shukdeva and Parikshit, then we read about Shukdev speaking about Maitreya Vidura Samvad. So, yeah, so there is one conversation within another conversation. Yes, the entire thing is written by Vyasdev. All right. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Okay, so Monday same time, correct? So Monday, who will not be there on Monday? One, two, three, four, five, six. Six. How if we have the class tomorrow, how many will not be there? Tomorrow. If we have the class tomorrow, Saturday, how many will not be there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's the same. Huh? Not tomorrow afternoon? 2, say 2 to 5. Okay, if you have tomorrow 2 to 5, how many will not be there? Oh, 4:30. Okay, it's all the same. Huh? I'm okay with 1 o'clock. Okay, okay, one last option. One last option. If we keep tomorrow from 1 or say 1:30, whatever, 1 or 1:30 till about 4:30, how many will not be there? कुछ एडजस्टमेंट नहीं हो सकता क्या आप लोगों का? अभिषेक प्रभु को क्या प्रॉब्लम है? हाँ, मृदंग क्लास किसको? अच्छा, कोई और टीचर आकर सिखाता है? हाँ, तो मतलब थोड़ा एडजस्टेबल है ना, तो उनको बोलना थोड़ा देर से आज। अरे 2 लोग तो आराम से एडजस्ट हो सकता है, उसमें क्या है? हाँ, ठीक है। हाँ, तो ये बॉयज लोगों का क्या है? What he's asking 12:30, is it possible? After 1 it is comfortable. After 1 it is comfortable. नहीं, वो तो नहीं जम रहा है सबको. Okay, one final. Think twice before you raise your hand now. See if you can adjustment for the benefit of other Vaishnavas. Okay, some adjustment is always required. So one final call. 1:30 to 4:30. 1:30 to 5 रखेंगे, ठीक है. 1:30 to 4:35 depends on how we complete. So something like that. So 1:30 to 4:30 or 5 tomorrow. How many will not be able to it? Not. Okay, how many will not be able to attend tomorrow? 1:30 to 4:30? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Partly. Okay, ठीक है, part तो हो जाए. So again it is 6 only. All options 6 are missing. But you will be able to attend online? You're attending online? Online? Tomorrow also? Tomorrow? Okay, anyways, it's online. What about you? Tomorrow you will be attending online. Okay, you didn't raise hand. You didn't raise hand. हाँ, आपका क्या प्रॉब्लम है? और डीटी सेवा, अच्छा डीटी सेवा तो कुछ नहीं कर सकते, एडजस्ट नहीं हो सकता है किसी और के साथ. अच्छा ठीक है. आपका तो पक्का एडजस्ट हो सकता है, आपका मृदंग तो पक्का एडजस्ट हो सकता है, वो आप. हाँ, नहीं वो उनको नहीं जम रहा है. आपका तो एक व्यक्ति है. आपका हाँ पक्का हो सकता है, आप हंस रहे मतलब हो सकता है। हम्म। हाँ ऑनलाइन में नहीं। ओके वन लास्ट ऑप्शन, ठीक है। 10 normal time 10:30 to 1:30. How many will not 1 1 2 3 4. Hey, this is least number. हाँ और किसने हाथ उठाया अभी आपका? वो आप देख लीजिए। वो आप देख लीजिए, मतलब सेवा नहीं है उस टाइम। सेवा नहीं तो मतलब वो तो एडजस्ट हो सकता है आपका। आपका एडजस्ट हो सकता है आपका। हाँ यू कैन ट्राई। ओनली यू आर रिमेनिंग नाउ। चुप। No, 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 not like that. No, not like that. So, but in any case, it seems for most tomorrow morning seems to be convenient because it seems more adjustable tomorrow morning. What's your service? Achha. So that's already scheduled. Okay, fine. Maybe you can hear recording. So it seems only for one person there seems to be a serious difficulty. Others, rest all, it seems to be adjustable. Hmm. Okay. Ah. Hmm. 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 So, okay, that's adjustable. Your presentation is adjustable. That's not a big thing. Okay, so okay, now we will reverse the question and see the majority. So tomorrow same time, 10:30 to 1:45 to raise of hands. How many will be able to attend? 10:30 to 1:45. Okay, that's like almost everyone. That's like almost everyone. Huh? So Monday, that already has been done. No? So Monday they will be able to attend online, not offline. Here I go. Because I think so initially, see Amitru, see initially I think so it was told Saturday, correct? Okay, the final call. Hmm. Okay, I think so. We'll keep it tomorrow. Hmm. And you see if you can adjust. You see if possible. I mean, unless it's a very urgent program, then hear the record. Okay, because for majority it seems to be more convenient. All right. आप So should we finalize tomorrow? So you're okay with hearing recording, correct? Because anyway, many are able to attend here. So because the on better than online is attending here, no? So that's a better option. Hmm? I mean, sorry for the inconvenience caused, but then somebody has to sacrifice because. Hmm. Hmm. Huh? It's okay. Okay, fine. So anyway, next time we'll be more careful while fixing. And as Prabhuji was requesting, if you can tell the dates in advance and fix things, then they'll be able to book tickets and all those. When are you leaving? Tomorrow? Night. Okay. So you also want to be on Monday. Acha, online. But anyway, on-site is always better. No? So majority able to attend on-site. Okay, fine. So tomorrow we'll keep same time. Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.